Hello Stalker. This video is about setting up the game for taking picture. As you might already know, the game do not have a built-in photo mode, so we need some external software and tools to compensate. Before we go into the Unreal Engine Unlocker, I want to talk about the UETools. The UETools does have a free camera flying mode, but unfortunately I was unable to get the going up and going down key to function. When you fly around, you are basically moving at a fixed height. Okay? I was unable to move up and down with the key I bind. So this is a little bit limiting. If you're able to get the moving up and down key to function, this free camera mode is basically suffice. You can head over to the UETools page. At the description, you will see the command console for the free camera flying mode and the setting for the moving up and moving down keys. Universal Unreal Engine Unlocker version 5. This is not a mod but a piece of external software, and it is not free. It does cost a few bucks. This is the documentation. You can read through it if you want to know how to operate this software. The software is available on Patreon for $5. The reason we want to use this software, aside from the free camera mode, is various other advanced functions that this software can do. You can add custom light into the scene, set up the intensity, the color, however you want. You can also move and hide objects in the game world. Also pause human and mutants. It also have other functions such as pausing the game. When you're taking the photo, it's nothing going to attack you, as well as post-processing effects. The Engine Unlocker is not a mod for the game, but just a piece of standalone software. You can put it anywhere you want. And the software name is called igcsclient.exe. We will talk about how to utilize this software later. There is a simple photo mode on Nexus, this one, with no extra feature, but the problem is it conflicts with UE4SS, which is currently required for the fast travel mode to function. Okay, now we're going to install ReShade. Go to reshade.me. Click the download button. Here we want the full add-on support version, not the normal version. The reason is we need to install also the item spawner, which will help us to spawn item, NPC and mutant without writing the code ourselves. We just click it on the interface. Okay, grab the full add-on support version. Once you're done, launch it and select Stalker2.exe. In case it's not detected, just click the browse button to wherever you install the game. Select DirectX 12. On this shader effect list, there are a lot of things. Basically, ReShade is a Photoshop for games, if you want to call it that way. There are tons of effects to play around. I'm going to skip this for now and finish. If you want to look through the list for effects to install, here are some commonly used one that I will recommend to install. I will explain what this thing does later. The next item is UETools, Developer Console Debugging. You can find this on Nexus. Download this file. This is a pack mod, so you place it in the usual pack mod area in Stalker 2. Stalker 2 content, packs, mods. Drag the file, these 4 files in here. This mod also includes the skip shader compile function, so you don't need a standalone skip shader compile. Understand that messing around with the game in unintended method does make the game more prone to crashes, so the skipping the shader compile is a welcome feature. Navigate to the location where the Stalker2.exe is located. For Steam, is in the Steam apps command Stalker2 binary Win64. You can see the Stalker2 Win64 shipping.exe is located. If your ReShade installation is successful, it should also have a folder here, ReShade shader folder, the xgi.dll, and reshade.ini. For this item spawner add-on, I don't want you to copy everything into the Win64 folder. The reason is the author included his own reshade.ini and the xgi. This might be a different version, and if you copy this reshade.ini into your folder, it will completely overwrite your settings. So ignore these 2 files. Only copy the folder and the 3 files with long name into Win64 folder and replace it. Okay, that is done for the installation of this add-on. The next item we need is a fast travel anywhere mod. Unless you want to walk across the game manually, it is better to have this mod so you can go to the location anywhere you want quickly. The installation process of this mod is a little bit complicated, so make sure you follow this instruction carefully. Download the UE4SS version indicated here. Copy these 2 files, the same place where the Stalker2 Win64 shipping.exe is located, the same place where ReShade was installed. Replace them all. Then go to download this mod. Careful of where you place this item. You want to place it in Win64 UE4SS mods, not the pack mod location. Copy this fast travel anywhere folder directly in here. Okay. The next step required is to change a few settings in UE4SS setting.ini as indicated here. You can use a notepad for this. Object array cache set to false. Also change the console enable to 0, console visible 0, and save. That's done for the installation of this mod. The last item we need to install is the Microsoft Image Composite Editor tool, or ICE tool for short. This software is required for panorama stitching. For example, something white, very white like this, which is not possible to be captured by a single shot. If you're looking at the actual camera shot, it will be like small like this, very narrow. Okay, this is by taking a lot of pictures and stitch them into a larger picture with Microsoft ICE tool. The problem is Microsoft ICE tool, the website is already gone. It has been discontinued by Microsoft. So you need to search for how to download Microsoft ICE. You should come across this Microsoft Learn forum. Someone posted the direct link over here. You want the ICE 2.03 for 64-bit Windows. Just run the installation as usual. There's nothing special about it. We will talk about how to utilize this software later. In terms of game setting, of course you want to make sure the setting is pushed all the way to epic for the best quality possible. I'm going to put hair at low in case of not involving any NPC or mutant. Post-processing is for effects like bloom. You can lower it if you want. The anti-aliasing option I think is kinda broken, so it doesn't really matter. Doesn't need motion blur, doesn't need depth of field. Upscaling method, pick one of your choice. If you use NVIDIA GPU, you want to use DLSS for example. I'm running a AMD graphic card here, so I'm just going to use TSR. Set resolution scale to 100%, so the game is not rendered at lower resolution. You want the best quality after all. Shading quality is the ambient occlusion. You can raise this if you want. Setting this to low will turn the ambient occlusion completely off, so at least put this at medium. Illumination shadow, set it to epic for best quality. Same for cloud, fog, sky, foliage, environment distance. Push this as high as you can. Of course you want to take the highest quality picture. First I'm going to verify if the fast travel mode is functioning. You can put a marker anywhere you want and travel to it. Let's say we go to the rookie village. And then press Z. Wait a few seconds. If nothing happens, you can try again on a different spot. Wait until your player character is on top of the marker that you travel to. Okay, let's try a different spot. Okay, we are here. Oops. Try again. Okay, we are here. Wait for the environmental to load. I'm playing on a slow PC, so this is taking its time. The next thing we're going to try out is the time and weather control console command. The first one is X set weather time, hour, minute, second, divided by spaces. These are number. Let's try it out. X set weather time. Let's say I change this to 6 AM, space 0 minute, space 0 second. Enter. You should see it start to back changes. Wait for the effects to finish loading and the lighting to update. The next command is X force weather and a number. The number indicates which type of weather it's going to change to. You can save this list if you want. Let's try something. X, force, weather, let's say number 4. Again, wait for it to finish update. This one is stormy weather, is it? Stormy, light rain. Let's change it to thundery number 6. Wait for the effect to finish loading. It's going to look weird at first. This is very dark. I'm going to change it back to clear weather. Alright, the console command is functioning. The next thing we want to verify is if ReShade is installed correctly. By default, the button to open the ReShade panel is Home key. You can change it in the Settings tab. I set it to F2 for open the overlay key, F3 to toggle effect on off. Change it to any key you want. I'm going to use the F1 key for screenshot. I set it to save as PNG image. And the other setting you want to enable under the Setting tab is Group Effect File with tabs. What this does is whenever you enable an effect, it will show it as a tab, so it is easier to navigate. Next, we're going to verify if the spawning item add-on is installed correctly. It will list it under the add-on tab, the second tab, ReShade UETools item spawner version 1.3. Click this arrow to open up the interface. You can resize the window here if you can't see all the item. You can spawn all sorts of items here, ammo, armor, artifacts. Let's for example spawn a monster here. Let's try a flash, something easy. When you click on this button, it will kill the command up here. When you need to run it, click the execute button and it will spawn the item that you want. For items such as consumable artifact, they will directly spawn in your inventory. Okay, next I'm going to try set up shots and checking out some effects that ReShade does. There's one setting that you want to do for one time only, is changing this thing, edit global preprocessor definition and set reverse to 1. Click anywhere to confirm, it will auto update. Okay. The function of this value is to enable detecting the correct depth, DEPTH, depth. Okay. Click on the display depth.fx. The screen might look like a complete mess because it is not configured correctly. Go to the add-on tab. Click any of the blue text. Try to find one that works. This one doesn't work, this one doesn't work. Try again until you find one that looks like this. Black and white, but of the same scene that you are looking at in the game. The black and white information tells ReShade about the distance of object. The darker ones is at the front and the white is at the back. Every time you restart the game, you need to adjust this configuration again. Okay, as the configuration is now correct for the depth buffer, I'm going to close this effect. The depth information is required for some effects to function. For example, adaptive fog. As you can see now, I set the fog color to green. You can play with the value however you want and adjust the distance. If your depth buffer configuration is incorrect, this effect will not show up correctly. Another effect that uses the depth information is MXAO, which adds shadow effect around edges of object. Again, you can play around with this setting. Under the debug section, you can change between your actual game visual and the channel information to see how strong the effect is. Of course, the depth information is also used to create the depth of field effect. For QueenDOF.fx, disable the autofocus. Set autofocus adjustment speed, this one, to maximum, and hyperfocal depth distance to maximum. Once you've done that, you can play around with the manual focus depth value to change where the focal point is. The near blur curve and far blur curve value is what affects the blur amount. The lower the value, the more blur either the far distance or near distance. If I set the far to 6, which is maximum, there will be no blur. Let's say I set the near blur curve to 1 and set manual focus to something like the house in the far distance. Now you see the foreground is now blurred. Let's check out some effects that are commonly used. For example, the aspect ratio composition. This shader effect adds lines on the screen so you can use it as a guide or references in positioning your subject. You can change the color to whatever you want and set the aspect ratio of your screen. In this case, it should be 16:9. Okay, you can use the line to position your subject. Position the important subject around the crosshair of the line. Another commonly used effect is the Queen Lightroom. This shader is called Lightroom is because it tries to mimic the functions provided by Adobe Lightroom, a photography adjustment software. You can see there are a lot of effects under this shader effect. Color control, the gamma, black, white control, contrast control, saturation, vibrance, temperature control, vignette effect. You can play around with this thing yourself. Let's say the flower here is red, but if I want to change the red to something else, I can use the red hue control. As you can see, you change the red tone only without affecting the green. Oh my god. Let me kill this thing first. Oh dear, I'm just going to run. Okay, Now we're going to check out the Unreal Engine Unlocker IGCS client. You launch this software when the game is running and click the Inject DLL button. It should detect your Stalker2.exe up here. Okay, Inject DLL. Wait for the information. Okay, now it is hooked into the game. Under the key binding section, you can change the shortcut key. I changed the Open in-game overlay to Shift 0. By default, it is Control Insert. I don't want to use the control button because the control button triggers the crouch effect. When your character is crouched, you can see the edge of the screen is darkened. We do not want that, so I'm going to use Shift 0. You should see this thing appear on your screen. There are 3 tabs here: camera setting, item selection and manipulation, and pause, ability to pause the game. You can use this game speed to capture slow motion video action scene, for example, or just set it to 0 to pause everything completely. It is advised to pause NPC or pause everything to prevent the time from shifting or the weather changing or just something attacking you out of nowhere. Okay, let's teleport somewhere interesting to take some picture. Where should we go? Let's say Sultanas. Right click, press Z, wait a little bit. If nothing happens, try again until the green cursor is on top. You will arrive. Wait for the environment to load. In the meantime, I'm going to change the time and weather. Let's say 6 in the morning. Change weather to cloudy. Wait for the effects and lighting system to complete update. Looks very brown right now. Maybe you try a different time. Let's say 1400. Not bad. Make sure you adjust your time and weather before you engage the free camera. You can't use the console command during free camera because some of the key will not be functioning. Let's see if we can find a good position to capture the ship. Maybe here we got some trees. Okay. Shift 0, and then I'm going to pause the game. I set the game speed to 0. Enable the camera. Close the panel, and you can navigate the free camera with numpad. Consult the keybind section to see all the key. Hit the delete button to hide the user interface. And let's try adjust something about this shot. Go to the display tab section. Make sure your depth buffer configuration is corrected. I'm going to add a fog layer, adaptive fog, set to white, and put it somewhere further. You may see that my graphic is flickering a bit. That's because I lowered my graphic resolution. On the setting tab, set a directory where you save the screenshots. By default, it places it in the game.exe location. My screenshot key is F1. Change it to whatever you want. Okay, I'm going to start taking picture from the left. Capture. You can see a message at the top indicating successful capture. Going to capture more. Now on here. Make your way to the other side. Launch the image composite editor. Locate where you put your screenshots. And select and drag all the related ones you want to stitch into the software. And just click next. Wait for it to finish. Photoshop also have a panorama stitching function, but I highly recommend not to use it. It is complete rubbish, takes too long, and the effect is terrible. Okay, now it finished processing. You should see a screen like this, where everything is stitched pretty much perfectly. You can change the projection method at the left. Select whichever one that looks the best. Let's say this one I'm going to use Mercato. Okay. You can also make adjustment on the viewport here in case the projection isn't giving you a best result. Okay. You can drag this around or rotate it. Okay. And then click next. You can set a crop here. Crop out the part that is completely useless. And then save it. I'm going to save this as PNG. If you don't have Photoshop, you can also use the Photopea. This is a online web browser based photo editing software. No installation. Going to grab the photo that stitches. Just drag it in here. Okay. And then set the image canvas size to 3840 by 1080. Control plus minus to zoom. Then edit, retransform to scale the image. Okay. Want to export as JPEG. And you're done. Okay, now we talk about adding lights and pausing NPC. I'm looking at the scene right now. It is midnight. It's pretty dark. The fire isn't as bright as I want it to be. And I want to add internal illumination inside the room. Okay, first, we go to where we want to add the light. For example, here we got a window here, so the light can shine outside. Under the light pages, insert a new point light or spotlight. I'm going to use point light in this case. We will configure the color and intensity later. For now, I'm just going to place all the light sources. How do I go into this room? If you can't get into some places, you can use the console command. Oh my god. UETools, Close. Now you can clip into things. I'm going to place a light source here. New point light. And I go back outside. I'm going to place a light here as well. Whoa, whoa, whoa. As you can see, the light is already functioning. We are going to adjust the intensity and color later. For supporting, I'm going to put a light here as well. What are they shooting? Why are they shooting me? Okay. I'm going to spawn a few mutants here. Went to the add-on tab. Item spawner, NPC or monster. Let's say we spawn a pseudo giant. Execute. Whoa, I better start running. Where is it? It seems to start inside the building. Let's help him up a bit. Going into the free camera mode. Make sure the mutant is selected. I'm going to bring him out. Pause all NPC so I can set up the scene I wanted. If you can't raise or lower the NPC, enable pause editing. This will allow it to be raised and lowered any way you want. Okay, I'm going to make this mutant a lot more larger. Twice the size. Okay. Let's try to grab the human NPC and toss them around. If your camera panning is not functioning, tap back out the game and tap back in. Let's try to adjust the light first because everything looks very dark. Go back to the light pages. Click on the pencil button to edit the light. And I can change the color and intensity. The attenuation range is the range where the light will take effect. Can make it a lot more longer or more longer distance. Edit the other lights. Looks much better now that the window and door have illumination. Maybe a bit more white. Okay, looks fine. On to the next one. This one is on the building on the right side. Next is the light for the fire pit. Increase the saturation to match the fire color. Now we have a much better, much more interesting lights up instead of a completely dark scene. Let's rotate the monster to face the camera a little bit. Okay, like this. Let's put him a bit more to the right side. Under the pause editor, you can see a very long list of text. These are the body parts of the mutant or human that you can adjust individually. We got an emission function suddenly spawned. Going to stop the game world completely by going to game speed, set to 0. This will stop everything. Okay. Back to the pause editor. I want the mutant to look a bit more to the left. Let's try to find the item that correspond to the head. It's down here. JNT neck. Let's see what happens. This one is twisting. Okay. This one is looking to the left. Oh, not bad. Let's see if we can open the mouth much more bigger. Next, let's try to pause this guy a bit closer to the mutant. Careful not to hit the clone and clone hide button. These two buttons will very likely just crash your game. Let's bring more guys into the scene. Where are the other soldiers? Okay. The player character is generally not usable because you are just a floating chest with a floating hand. So in most cases, if you want to make a pose with character, you need to use NPC instead. Make sure you're not exiting the free camera right now, otherwise you will lose everything. The NPC everything will reset if you exit the free camera mode. Make sure the world and NPC also pause. If they are not paused, they will also reset themselves. Let's try to do funny thing about this one. Let's see if we can get the mutant to grab the character. this unfortunate duty guy. Okay, last example. Let's try to take a picture of our dear Uncle Sid. I want to spawn a NPC. Add-ons, UETools item spawner. NPC, let's say bandit close combat, and execute. What kind of shot I want to do in this one? Let's say like this. Okay, let me add a custom light from the light panel. Add a new point light. I'm going to set it to blue. I want this to be the light illuminating from each screen. We're going to edit the intensity and position later. Going to rotate this guy around. A lot of object and foliage in the environment are actually grouped with something else. Let's say I click hidden. The whole room is missing, despite I only want the chair to be gone. This is part of the game optimization process where they group multiple objects into one item so they load faster. So we can't really hide specific items sometimes.